Ma'am, recording.
Yeah, I'm doing recording. So today we are going to see about Unit 2. We already completed Unit 1. So I'll make here Unit 2. So what are the points we are going to discuss here in Unit 2 are important. So Unit 2 is about waveguide components. Unit 2 is about waveguide components. So what are the different waveguide components we have? So starting from waveguide couplers, this is subheading, this is one. And second one is coupling probes and loops. Another one, coupling probes and loops is another one. Another one is tuning screws and posts. Tuning screws and posts is another one. And next one is waveguide windows. Next one is waveguide windows. And next one is waveguide attenuators. Waveguide attenuators. And phase shifters. Sorry, this is the sixth one. Phase shifters. And seventh one is waveguide tees. Waveguide tees. And this you'll get E-plane. So these are the things we are going to discuss. Other things are also there. So what are the other things? I'll write here. So wave guide tees. In that waveguide tees, we have E-plane tee. Second one, H-plane. Third one, magic tee. We have other things like directional, and right here we have other things like directional couplers and others directional couplers. In that different types of directional couplers are available, and we have circulators, gyrators, isolators. Here, isolators. Whatever I wrote here. So we are going to discuss about all these components in Unit 2. Are you getting what are the components we are going to discuss in Unit 2 is about all these components. First, we will see all these come under the category of waveguide components. So the waveguide component may be waveguide coupler, waveguide, second one is probes and loops, tuning screws, waveguide windows, waveguide attenuators, and phase shifters, waveguide T's. These are the waveguide T's we have to discuss. E-plane T, H-plane T, magic T. These are the waveguide T's we have. And other than this, we have directional couplers, we have isolators, we have circulators, we have gyrators. So all these come under the category of waveguide components. Are you getting? So in unit 2, we are basically going to discuss about all the types of waveguide components. Okay, so these are very, very important. Out of all these components, so we are going to discuss about the waveguide components. So out of all these waveguide components, so these waveguide couplers, coupling probes and loops, normally you'll get short answer questions. Tuning screws also short answer questions. Waveguide windows also short answer questions. But waveguide attenuators, long answer questions you'll get. In that rotary vane attenuator, many times that question was given. Rotary vane attenuator. So phase shifters also 1 or 2 times they have given. And these E-plane T, H-plane T, magic T, these are very, 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 very important questions. And we need to calculate scattering parameters. What are scattering parameters? What are its characteristics? All those things we are going to discuss. Okay. And after completing these waveguide T's, we are going to discuss about directional couplers. Directional couplers. What is a directional coupler? I think you heard all these words, in your microwave lab, because without waveguide couplers, waveguide attenuators, E-plane, H-plane T, already I think you heard about these words already. Yes or no? Any one thing you heard out of these things? In waveguide setup, that means a test bench setup, you will observe some of these components. Do you heard about these things? Circulator, isolator, gyrators. Isolators and waveguide attenuators you might have seen in the waveguide test bench setup. Yes or no? So gyrators are also important. So these are the things we are going to discuss in unit 2. So now you got idea what is unit 2. Unit 2 is about various waveguide components. We will see one by one what are the various waveguide components are available. What are the various waveguide components are available. We will see one by one. So first thing is it clear to all of you, this one? What we are going to discuss in this unit, is it clear? So next,
clear, ma'am.
Next,
Yes,
Ma'am,
yeah.
ma'am, you said some too much topics, no, ma'am. Can you please say once again?
What amma? I didn't understood.
Ma'am, for
you
short
said
answer questions, you told 2-3 topics, no, ma'am. Just now.
Yeah. The first up to waveguide windows, you'll get short answers, amma. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here I have given numbering, no? 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are the short answer questions. Okay. So, but you need to concentrate. For long answer questions, you need to concentrate on waveguide attenuators, waveguide T's, directional couplers, circulator, isolator, gyrator. These questions will come in long answers. Is it clear, Amma?
Clear, ma'am.
That doubt only you are asking or anything else? That's all.
Yes, ma'am.
yes,
Okay.
ma'am. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. We will move. The next case we will move. We will see one by one. So, waveguide coupler. I'll take. Wave guide coupler. Today I am using another device. That's why I never used this one. Maybe because of that. I'll write once again. Wave guide coupler. What is this waveguide coupler? So you take a waveguide. I am taking a waveguide. This is the waveguide. I am considering. Okay. This is the waveguide. Okay. Sorry, I am not expert in drawing. We have something like this, and there is a probe available. So this is called waveguide coupler. What for waveguide couplers are used? So there are number of ways in which a signal can be fed into the waveguide. So first of all, we need to feed the signal inside the waveguide to get various outputs. So there are number of ways to feed the signal inside the waveguide. The most commonly used method is probe method. This is called probe method. So it has a coaxial cable. The inner conductor of the coaxial cable, what I mean to say is this one, the inner conductor, this one. The inner conductor of the coaxial cable penetrates a small distance into the center of the waveguide. As I shown in the figure, if the inner conductor of the waveguide, inner conductor of the small probe penetrates a small distance into the waveguide, then such connection is called waveguide coupler using, this is the method generally called small probe method. The most commonly used method is small probe method. Using this small probe, what we are doing? We are feeding the signal into the waveguide using a coaxial probe. If the signal is fed into the waveguide, don't think that always the signal is fed into the waveguide. Sometimes using these coupler, we can extract the signal from the waveguide also. So waveguide couplers generally are used to feed the signal inside the waveguide. There are various types of waveguide couplers. The most commonly used waveguide couplers are small probe coupler. What is this small probe coupler will give you? This small probe coupler uses this small probe. Whatever the figure I am showing, it uses the small probe. This small probe coupler consisting of inner conductor and outer conductor. The inner conductor is penetrated inside the waveguide wall so that the signal can be fed into the waveguide. Understood? What I am trying to tell here? Understood? So what is this coupling technique called? Small probe coupling. What is this coupling technique is called? Small probe coupling. What is this small probe coupling? A small probe is used and it is penetrated inside a waveguide. That too, normally, see, the electric field lines are this one, like this. The probe is also, the electric field lines are something like this. The probe is also kept parallel to the electric field lines. The probe is an extension of the central conductor. Actually, it is a coaxial gain. At the generally, the broader side of the waveguide we have to see, the broader walls of the waveguide, the small probe is penetrated into the broader wall of the waveguide where the electric field is maximum and normal to the conducting wires. So these are the conducting plates. Normal to the conducting plates, we have to keep this one. But parallel to the electric field lines, the probe position should be parallel to the field line, no, electric field lines. Okay, usually the waveguide is terminated with what? With a probe. If generally, if the depth of the penetration is lambda g by 4, you will get what? Proper, without any reflection, the signal is properly fed into the waveguide. That's most important. Okay, so what I am trying to convey to you is, it's one of the coupling scheme. It is used to couple the signal inside the waveguide. This is called small probe coupling. It has a coaxial cable. Normally, what is a coaxial cable? We know it has a center conductor. The center conductor is penetrated in what direction? In the broader walls of the waveguide where the electric field is maximum. You need to locate that position, and we should place the probe, and the central conductor is penetrated into the waveguide walls, and the position of the probe should be parallel to the electric field lines. Okay, so this is one of the couplings. This is one of the coupling techniques. What is the coupling technique here we are using? So the probe are what is this waveguide coupler? Probe, small probe coupler is placed parallel to the electric field at a position where the field is maximum. Generally, that is the position you have to keep. So this is called waveguide coupler, small probe waveguide coupler. Is it clear? Shall I move to the next one? What
Yes,
for
ma'am, clear.
couplers are used to couple the signal into the, or to feed the signal into the waveguide. That's what we are using. Okay, is it clear, Ma? I'll go for the second coupling technique, that is probes and loops. Loops is another technique is used to couple the input into the waveguide. What is this loops consisting of is, another one is loop coupler. I'm trying to explain about loop coupler. These notes I'll post, please go through this. So actually first 4 points is somewhat like theory only. I'm going to explain those things. So second one is loop coupler. Loop coupler. This is another waveguide coupler. This is loop coupler. So what is this loop coupler consisting of? It consisting of, the name itself tells it has some loop. So normally it's a waveguide. I'll take the waveguide. It's something like this. A waveguide is something like this. And we should place a loop inside a waveguide. So this is called loop. So loop coupling is principally magnetic. Actually, the probe coupling is electric. So where the electric field intensity is maximum, there we should locate, or there we should place the probe. So whereas loop coupling is principally magnetic, so the loop must be placed near to a point where magnetic field strength is high. That is previously what is we discussed is a probe coupling. So where the electric field intensity is maximum, there we are going to keep the probe and the inner conductor of the probe is penetrated on the broader wall of the waveguide. That's what we discussed. But whereas the loop is principally it is magnetic. Okay, so the loop is placed generally where the magnetic field intensity or H, where the magnetic field intensity is nothing but H, is very high. Okay, so the loops can be mounted at the end of the wall, as I shown here, at the end of one of the shorted wave, or at the middle or top or bottom at a distance of, so what is the distance if you, what is the distance? At a distance of from here to here, the distance should be lambda g by 2 at a distance of, either in top also we can place, either at the bottom also you can place, either at the side also you can place. But the condition should be where you need to play this loop is where the electric field intensity is maximum. The plane of the loop should be normal to the electric field lines for maximum coupling. So this is about the loop antenna. That's why I loop coupler. So that is the reason I told normally these two questions will give you for short answers. Write a short note on probe coupling, write a short note on loop coupling. Okay, these are used to feed the signal inside the waveguide. So sometimes these are used to extract the microwave signal from the waveguide also. Loop or probe coupling can be used. Okay, so these are the points. Understood? Any doubts? So these are theory questions, Amma, you can see. Okay, I'll proceed to the next one. What I'll do is I'll proceed to the next one. What is the next one? Tell me, anybody? I've given the one like that. I've given.
Coupling probes and loops, ma'am.
That's over, no? Loops over. Probe is also over.
Tuning
is the-
screws and posts.
Waveguide windows.
Waveguide windows, third one. Then before that, we have to discuss about tuning screws and posts. Okay. Before that, I have to discuss about tuning screws and posts. Tuning screws and posts. So what are tuning screws and posts are important. So tuning screws are also used in the waveguide for impedance matching purpose. What do you mean by impedance matching? Impedance matching transformer. So when you are coupling something, so if the impedance is according to the maximum power transfer theorem, if source impedance matches with the load impedance, then only maximum power can be transferred. Even in waveguides also, you are feeding the signal. If the impedance matches, then only the signal is propagated inside the waveguide. If the impedance is not properly mapped, some of the signal is returned back. That is called standing wave. We are going to measure what is the standing wave ratio, SWR or VSWR, voltage standing wave ratio. So generally the impedance matching is very, very, very important in electromagnetic devices. So normally tuning screws are used in waveguide. What is the purpose of tuning screws is are used in waveguide for impedance matching purpose. So sometimes these are also used to create good SWR. To get good SWR, generally these are used. So what are the tuning screws? Basically, what are tuning screws? We have to discuss about tuning screws. What is a screw? I think all of you have seen a screw. How it looks like? It's a metallic thread rod. when it is inserted inside a rectangular waveguide, either from the top or from the bottom, parallel to the electric field lines, can give variable amount of susceptance. So what is the meaning of this statement? It's a metallic threaded rod. What is a screw? A screw is something like this. I think all of you have seen generally what is a screw. It has some threads like this. That's what. So a screw is a metallic thread and it is inserted. So if I take the waveguide, I'll close. It's a waveguide. If I take the waveguide, this is the screw. The screw is inserted, the screw or the metallic threaded rod is inserted into the waveguide either from the top or from the bottom, parallel to the, actually electric field lines are something like this, parallel to the electric field lines. Remember this point, parallel to the electric field lines. So it gives variable amount of susceptance. It may be inductance, it may be capacitance. That's why it is called variable amount of susceptance. It gives variable amount of susceptance. So if the screw is inserted, the susceptance depends upon the depth of penetration. How much the screw is inserted into the waveguide depends upon the depth of penetration. Depends upon the depth of penetration. You are going to get, depending upon the depth of penetration, if the depth is more, the susceptance may be different. I told you that susceptance is nothing but it may be inductance or it may be capacitance. If the insertion is less than, here I am writing, note down these things very carefully. So if the insertion distance is less than lambda g by 4, it produces capacitive susceptance. If the, are you getting? If the insertion, where it gone? Yes. If the insertion distance is less than lambda g by 4, it gives capacitive susceptance. If the insertion depth of penetration is lambda g by 4, more than greater than lambda g by 4, it gives inductive susceptance. Inductance susceptance. So these screws are, why is called tuning? We can insert those screws. We can insert those screws. That's why these are called tune. We can tune that one to get capacitance or inductance. So it depends upon how much, whether the inductance is added to the waveguide or capacitance is added to the waveguide. It depends upon the depth of penetration of the screw. If it is less than lambda g by 4, capacitance acceptance is added. If it is greater than lambda g by 4, inductive capacitance or inductive susceptance is used. So in most of the cases, impedance matching is achieved with matched screws adjusting by the length and its position along the waveguide. We can get the impedance matching in the waveguide by adjusting this one, the length and the position of this screw. We can achieve the impedance matching, no doubt. But the main disadvantage with this technique is it requires a slot. Actually, we have to insert this screw inside this one. What we required, we need to make a slot inside the waveguide. That's the main disadvantage of this technique. So what is tuning screws are used? What for tuning screws are used? To do impedance matching, generally tuning screws are used. A tuning screws is nothing but metallic threaded rod which can be inserted along the top or bottom walls of the waveguide. Generally, this tuning screw is placed parallel to the electric field lines to get variable amount of susceptance if the penetration inside the waveguide, if the thread penetration inside the waveguide is less than lambda g by 4, it gives capacitive susceptance. If it is more than lambda g by 4, it gives inductive susceptance. But the main drawback with this technique is, the main disadvantage with the technique is, we need to do the slot inside the waveguide. That's the main drawback. Okay, so understood this one, tuning screws. We discussed only
Ma'am?
tuning screws. Yes.
Ma'am, then we have discussed the waveguide couplers. In there also we are inserting a probe, right, ma'am?
What? I didn't.
In
Waveguide?
small probe method, we inserted some probe into the waveguide, no, ma'am.
That is used
So
to
there-
couple. That is used to couple the signal inside the waveguide. Using a probe. To the
Okay.
probe, you are going to give the input amount.
Okay,
The sinusoidal signal is given to the probe.
understood.
Okay, that's coupling. You are doing coupling there using probes, using coaxial probe technique. You are coupling the input inside the waveguide. You are giving the input to the waveguide, or using the loops also you are giving the input. But what is for tuning screws? For getting impedance matching. The main purpose of tuning screws is to get impedance matching. Okay, so if inductance is added, if you are getting more impedance matching, you have to adjust your length of the screw more than lambda g by 4. If it is less than lambda g by 4, you are going to get capacitive susceptance.
Ma'am,
I
what is
hope I'm
lambda
clear.
G, ma'am, once?
Wave
Lambda G, ma'am.
lambda g is nothing but guided wavelength. We discussed in unit 1.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, how are we concluding that it should be less than lambda G by 4? Like through experiments, have they concluded this, ma'am?
Yes, through experiments.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Shall I move to the next one? Yes or no? Is it clear? Anybody having any doubts, Amma? Shall I move to the next
Clear,
one?
ma'am.
Yes.
Clear, ma'am. You can move.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, we have 5 minutes time. I think it is better before starting the next topic. I request everyone, please rejoin once again. We'll see the rest of the things. Okay.